What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother, Son Soul X, in his joint. Check it out. Hit us up, www.kingandilife.com, for all our podcast info. Subscribe to whatever podcast platform that you choose. Also, hit us up, KINGANDEYE369@gmail.com. Email us your suggestions, your feedback, and all that good stuff. Tune in to us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because we are all over all those social media platforms. Stay tuned for the good stuff. Yeah, we out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my world traveling brother,
Son Soul X.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know how to get in touch with us. www.kingandilife.com. What else? Shit, I'm drawing a blank. What you got, man?
Of course, you guys can always reach out to us on our Gmail, which is KINGANDEYE369@gmail.com. Again, that's KingandI369@gmail.com. Of course, we're on all of your major podcast platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Where else we at?
TikTok, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that stuff is on our website. I remember what I was going to say. Yeah, if you're listening to this on whatever podcast platform, make sure you also hop up on YouTube and check out the video version of it. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And also listen on the audio. So you got your pick. I say go check out the videos on YouTube, because you can see our body language, our reactions, and all that other stuff that you're not going to get on audio. But hey, if audio is more convenient for you because you're in your car, you're cleaning up, whatever the case may be, we just glad that you're listening.
For sure. And of course, make sure you guys hit that like, share, and subscribe, because we are still trying to get to 100 on our YouTube channel. So it's much appreciated if you do that for us.
Yes, we're trying to build here, trying to build
Yes,
our
sir.
little empire.
That's it.
But let's see. We got a little something for y'all today. Well, this week, however it rolls out. So living in a different culture or country, also visiting, because we've been doing a little bit of traveling with things, opening up a little bit, and we're getting a little freedom and all that. So to dive into it, in America we live in the democracy experiment, which is also identified as a flawed democracy, if I got it correctly, which has its pros and cons in comparison to other parts of the world. Us being fairly world traveled as youth, being military brats, we didn't get a chance to fully comprehend the scope of the differences in Germany, and even in other states. So we'll throw all that in there, but mainly gonna focus on countries. But as adults, Sun Soul X has just come from a week-long trip to Dubai, and I recently went on a cruise. But I've also been to several other countries, not to mention I will be going on my dream vacation to Iceland in March. So join us as we discuss our thoughts on being able to live and adjust to living outside of our comfort zone. So let's talk about it.
Shout.
So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, let's how was your trip?
Oh man, it was great, man. It was great. I really enjoyed the country of Dubai. It's so laid back over there. I mean, like, it's such a large comparison compared to the U.S. And again, not knocking the U.S. any at all. It's just a different country, different culture.
Right.
Um, they have a king who rules their country, um, otherwise known as the sheik. But from what I saw and witnessed with my own eyes, the people love their king.
Mm.
One thing I will say is, one thing I noticed immediately is people there are about their business,
Mm-hmm.
meaning the only thing they give a damn about is the color of your money. Like, they all about doing business. They don't really wrap themselves up or throw themselves down with racism or anything along that line.
From what you
And
saw.
again, this is just what I saw. I'm
Right.
not saying that racism doesn't exist there, but from what I've seen, um, they're one of those countries where they care about everybody rising up together,
Mm-hmm.
meaning let's get this money. So it was
Okay.
cool, man. I saw a lot, I witnessed a lot, and I would definitely go back to Dubai.
That's what's
Loved it.
up. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about Dubai, and I guess I got to put that on my list as well. Um, but yeah, so speaking of what you saw as their government, they have a monarchy. Um, I looked up some other details about it, but it just slips my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in comparison to them, we have a democracy, well, a flawed democracy as it is accurately defined. Um, and by that, uh, we have choices, so to speak. Whereas a true democracy, it's not as lenient as our democracy. So there are differences, and I think that's one thing that I really wasn't hip to until I just looked this up yesterday. I mean, I know what I know from what I know here, and
Right.
it wasn't. Um, I never took great interest in really delving deeper into the type of democracy that we have, but when I looked it up yesterday, I was like, ah, so there's countries with a real democracy and there's countries with a flawed democracy. So I mean, it's something to it's something to really swallow when you look at everything that's going on here and around the world.
Right. I mean, I think one of the things that we in this country, um, unfortunately take or participate in far too much is everybody is basically against everybody. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's sad, but we're so wrapped up, some of us in wanting to get our own way that it's like the hell with everybody else and, you know, their viewpoints or um, being fair about situations.
Mm-hmm.
Just let us get our way and, you know, whatever you're talking about, we'll get to it if we feel like.
Right, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a flawed system that we have, but until we come up with a better way, this is what we're left to work with. So
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is, we talk about the issues that we have here, but I think for the most part, a lot of us would not want to be anywhere else or are hesitant to be somewhere else because this is what we're used to. This is our comfort zone.
definitely, definitely. I mean, when you're born into a society and you're raised in that same society, for the most part, it's like you have adapted and come to love everything that's crazy about that society.
Hmm.
Um, things could always be better, but when you look at other countries, you know that things could always be worse also.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
it's just one of
Yeah.
those things that you adapt to it, you make
Hmm.
it your own, and you work within the confines of those perimeters.
Yeah. Yeah. So growing up under democracy, you know what? I don't know. Where you want to go with this first? As far as
Um,
you know.
I think it's a great thing to grow up again in a democracy. But the thing about it is, our system has major flaws. Um, some would say that's done by design. I would be one of those people.
Right.
But again, the system is what the system is. It's not going to change. The only way it's going to change is when people, um, like you said in the past, and I've agreed with you, is when we come together and decide that enough is enough, and we as a people want to change it.
Hmm.
But until then, I think the people who are basically getting away with what they want to are going to continue to do so.
Right.
Again, I think that we're living in a society where the people are afraid of their government instead of their government being afraid of the people.
Yeah, and overall, I think as time goes by, and how do I want to say this? As we experience more buffoonery in our governmental structure, we become more and more detached. um, that could be to our benefit and to our detriment when you look at what's actually going on out there. Um, like for me, I've voted Democrat every time I voted. I've never been, Republican, uh, because what I'm seeing now with the Republicans is just crazy. But at the same time, when I look at Democrats, it's like, yo, y'all have no balls. Like Republicans is out here saying, the hell with voter rights, the hell with this, the hell with that, and Democrats are like, well, we gotta be kumbaya. And it's like they not playing kumbaya. They like, yo, check this out. This is what we gonna do. We gonna take abortion rights, we gonna take voting rights, we gonna say we gonna redraw party lines and this, that, and the other, and what y'all gonna do? Like come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, the thing about it to me is I choose not to engage in the political ring. And again, it's simply because I feel like they're the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are just wings attached to the same bird. So no matter which direction you go in, you're still attached to that same damn bird. I don't give a
Mm,
damn if you go right or you go left.
right.
Um, but again, I still strongly agree with you. If we're gonna vote one way or the other, if we all voted the same direction, we can make some damn change. But as
Mm,
far as where we stand right now, is it just too much division? And
yeah.
I'm one of those people. I see both sides of the coin, meaning I see where the Democrats their strong points and their weak points, and I see the Republicans their strong points and weak points. But and the whole independent party, I don't know where the hell they are now. They're like a distant memory now.
My God, I don't
So,
even know what to. I don't even know what to offer to that. Because that's just crazy. Um, I mean, and then you got the Tea Parties people, which are part of Republicans, and it's like, and that goes back to something that you were saying about two-party systems. Um, by default, our government and many governments in the world have two-party systems, and like our government has been recently tripping, and many governments around the world they have splinter groups, for lack of a better term.
Right.
Um, we have your two base groups, and then you have subgroups under that, and it's like then you got a independent group over here and another group over here, and it's like the only two real legitimate groups are Democrat and Republican, and y'all want to have these off groups that really, to me, kind of like undermine the whole thing. I mean, I get it, but if we can't function in a way that benefits all, to me, it's all pointless.
I would agree with that. I mean, the thing about it is, a lot of these groups will say, "Well, we're the real Democrats, or we're the
Mm,
real hardcore Republican Party. We're the real ones." I'm like, is there a difference?
right. Like,
Like you're all still underneath the same flag, right? Like,
yeah.
please help me get more information on it because, again, the way I see it, you all are in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna run through these right quick. So you
All
got
right.
full democracies, which are nations where civil liberties and fundamental political freedoms are not only respected but also reinforced by a political culture conducive to the thriving of democratic principles. These nations have a valid system of governmental checks and balances, an independent judiciary whose decisions are enforced, governments that function adequately, and diverse and independent media. These nations have only limited problems in democratic functioning. So those are countries that are full democracy.
All
Flawed
right.
democracy, which the United States fall under, are nations where elections are fair and free and basic civil liberties are honored, but may have issues, meaning media freedom infringement and minor suppression of political oppositions and critics. These nations have significant faults in other democratic aspects, including underdeveloped political culture, low levels of participation in politics, and issues in the functioning of governance. Um, then you have hybrid regimes. Those are nations with regular electoral frauds, preventing them from being fair and free democracies. These nations commonly have governments that apply pressure on political opposition, non independent judiciaries, widespread corruption, harassment, and pressure placed on the media, anemic rule of law, and are more pronounced faults than flawed democracies in the realms of undeveloped political culture, low levels of participation in politics, and issues in functioning of governance. I think Dubai might fall under that one, but I'm not exactly sure. And then you have authoritarian regimes. Those are the nations where political pluralism is non existent or severely limited. These nations are often absolute monarchies or dictatorships, may have some conventional institution of democracy, but with meager significance. Infringements and abuses on civil liberties are commonplace. Elections, if they take place, are not fair and free, including sham elections. The media is often state owned or controlled by groups associated with the ruling regime. The judiciary is not independent, and censorship and suppression of governmental criticism are commonplace. And countries that I think that come to mind that are like that are
Mm-hmm.
most Muslim countries. North Korea, Russia is like that. I think China is like that. But it's quite a lot of countries that fall in the. But we talking about democracy and flawed democracy, which is what we're more familiar with flawed democracy.
Right. I mean, one thing I realized when I was over there, I was out one night and I was just walking around, and the thought occurred to me that what's the difference in between a nation that's ruled by a king and a nation that's ruled by a um,
A president?
no, not a president, but a dictator. I mean,
Um, those are one and the same. Um, because it's usually that one person. I mean, they have, you know, political parties, but it's usually that one person. That person usually rules for uh unnamed amount of years or whatever the case may be. Um, in a lot of cases, uh, like with countries with kings, it's usually passed down to uh, a son or something like that.
yeah,
Um, Dictatorships like in Russia, in North Korea, well, not North Korea, but in like Russia, um, their dictators like Putin. He's been the president of Russia, dictator, whatever you want to call it. He's been in there for quite some time. Um, and I do know if like uh, Alexei Navalny, whatever his name was, um, he had a lot of beef with Putin.
mm-hmm.
I haven't heard anything from that dude since he went back to Russia because he left Russia, but he went back because he felt like he had to be there with his supporters and all that. But he got back to Russia, they threw his ass in jail. So dictators and kings, is to me, it's like one and the same, but it depends on where in the world it is. Because like when you think of places like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and stuff like that, you really don't hear about all that nonsense that's going on in a lot of other places. So I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it that's something that lends to more uh, looking into and getting a greater understanding for. But you know, dictator and king, that's one person, and they rule for however long they rule.
Yeah. Um, while I was walking, I was just thinking about it though, and I was like, the only difference, true difference, I think there is with a king, he's more likely to be loved by his people.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people within, his country that might not think too highly of him for
Right.
whatever reason. But then when you have a dictator, they're gonna fear him more than love him. So one rules with a loving iron fist, and the other one rules with a fearing iron fist. Um, Either way, they set the rules, and if you can't follow those rules, that's when you're gonna find yourself, in a predicament.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one thing I did notice, or one thing I would say I admired about Dubai is, again, the whole entire time I was there, and this is the honest truth, people, I only saw 3 police cars the whole entire 8 days or so that I was there. And I'm thinking to myself, this is insane. Like, this is insane. There are no cops out like that. I mean, in the airport, I saw police officers, and at the hotel we were at, I might have saw one police officer come through.
Mm.
But again, I whole entire time only 3 police cars. Like, where do they do that at? Because the thing about it is, the rules over there are pretty strict.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't abide by those rules, you're going to face the consequences.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
with my own 2 eyes, I saw both people from within that country and people from on the outside of that country, like literally put down their bags in public and walk off
Mm.
and stay gone for who knows how long and come back and their bag was still there. So, thieving it's one thing they do not tolerate over there. Like
Right.
there are very severe consequences for stealing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I was in the U.S., if someone would put down their bag within the first 3 minutes, it's that long, gone.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it was kind of like, even though they live in a nation, that's ruled by a king, his rules and his laws are abided by.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've never been to a country where a dictator was in charge, but I could assume that they live by those same rules and principles, for the most part. That's where here in a country that's a democracy, if you get caught stealing something, you're going to have who knows how many, for lack of a better word, chances to, appeal a court ruling or a judge's ruling. But over there, it's like, you know what the rules are, son. You
Yeah.
cross the rules, so, prepare to pay the piper, as they say.
Yeah, but we gonna get into that crime and punishment thing a little later. But the interesting thing about that, two things. It depends on what country you're in when it comes to a democracy, monarchy, dictatorship, whatever to call it. It really depends on the country that you're in. Because I know Russia has a lot of Russian crime over there, but I don't know how they treat that. I don't want to speak on it.
Right.
I don't know how it is in North Korea with their communism shit. But here it's like it's wild. But the last thing I wanted to say before we break out and hop into our next segment is um, when Americans go to places like Dubai, they have a lot of act right with them. And when I think about that, it's like, y'all know if y'all go over there and cut the hell up, it's going to be some repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't act right here. So it helped me understand this mindset of if you can act right going into another country when you ready to go turn up, but you're here, you're so comfortable and you can't act right. I don't understand it sometimes, but I get it, but I don't understand it. Who wants to get locked up abroad, especially in a country like that?
Exactly. Like, it was crazy to me. Another thing was, like, again, let's say, no, I'll save it. I'll save it. But the whole entire time I was there, I might have heard like 4 people blow their horn at another car simply because
Wow.
they didn't think that other car saw them while they
Yeah.
were switching lanes.
I
But
think that
all of
might be a
that
crime over there to be honking your horn at people.
acting crazy and talking loud, no.
And they don't really talk loud over there, like for the most part, from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen videos online where people be getting out the gate, but for the most part, it's like a lot of them is mellow.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know if it's like that South Florida vibe. Really, everything's so laid back and easy peasy. It's kind of like everybody know what the rules are. They abide by the rules.
They respect it.
Yeah, we'll go by that. We'll go by that.
Yeah.
They just know what's gonna happen if you step outside of those guidelines. Like, it's not gonna be easy on you, bro.
Right. You want to catch the boom boom, or you want to act right? Choice is yours.
Okay.
Choice is yours. But ladies and gentlemen, hey, King and I Life podcast. Hey, if you're catching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, or hit that bell notification. If you're listening to this on whatever podcast platform that you subscribe to, or whatever case may be, hey, share it. Of course, there's going to be a little survey with each segment or each episode, so hit that up. Son, so let's what you got for them before we break out.
Yeah, again, you guys, just man, hit that like, share, subscribe. Help us get that count up, because we're doing this for the people in need and soul toucher. We are not receiving not one dime, not one penny, not one quarter, not $1 for what we do. We just enjoy what we do, and we love, bringing our podcast platform forth to the people, as they say.
Oh yeah.
So again, just help us out by doing that for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And we'll be back. We'll be back.
For sure.